Have you ever felt that your life, even from its earliest days, carried a sense of deeper purpose? What if those small, seemingly ordinary moments of your childhood were actually whispers from God, pointing to the extraordinary calling He has prepared for you? These moments, those vivid dreams, the unexplainable sense of being different, or the trials you faced, are not coincidences. They are divine markers, placed by the Creator to remind you of His presence and prepare you for a purpose far greater than you can imagine. As the Lord declares in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This verse is not just a statement of God's sovereignty, but a personal promise to you, His chosen one. It is a reminder that your journey was carefully designed, long before you even understood what it means to be called. Join us as we unravel the 10 unmistakable signs from your childhood that reveal you are chosen by God. Reflect on your story, open your heart to His truth, and walk with us on this journey of faith. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more messages of spiritual wisdom and encouragement. Divine protection in dangerous times. Have you ever looked back on your life and wondered how you emerged unscathed from moments that should have ended differently? Perhaps it was a close call, a near accident, a sudden illness, or a situation where danger seemed imminent. Yet, against all odds, you found safety and peace. For those chosen by God, these moments are not mere coincidences. They are reflections of His divine protection, shielding His beloved for a greater purpose. God's hand over His chosen ones is evident throughout Scripture. Psalm 91:11 promises, "For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." This is not a vague assurance, but a clear depiction of how God actively intervenes to safeguard those He has called. Just as He protected Daniel in the lion's den, or preserved Moses as a baby floating down the Nile, His chosen ones today continue to experience this miraculous care. From the very beginning, God's protection over your life has been deliberate. Perhaps you recall a childhood illness that should have been devastating but wasn't, or a moment of danger where peace inexplicably filled your heart. These are not accidents. They are God's way of preserving you for the mission He has set before you. Such moments reveal His unwavering commitment to seeing His plans fulfilled in your life. As you reflect on your own journey, consider the times when divine intervention seemed to alter the course of events. These instances serve as a powerful reminder of His love and faithfulness. They are not just about keeping you safe, but also about preparing you for the purpose He has uniquely designed for you. Take heart. His protection is a sign of the extraordinary calling that lies ahead. A deep sensitivity to others' pain. From a young age, did you ever notice how easily you felt the emotions of those around you? Perhaps you could sense someone's sadness before they said a word, or you felt compelled to comfort a friend even when you didn't fully understand their struggle. This heightened sensitivity to others' pain is not just a personality trait. It is a divine gift, a reflection of God's heart placed within you. Empathy is a hallmark of the chosen. It mirrors the compassion of Christ Himself, who, as described in Matthew 9:36, saw the crowds. He had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. This deep awareness of others' suffering is not a burden, but a blessing, one that equips God's chosen to fulfill their mission with love, understanding, and grace. This sensitivity often emerges early in life. You might recall moments as a child when someone's pain weighed heavily on your heart, or when you cried over injustices that others seemed to overlook. These experiences were not mere coincidences. They were God's way of teaching you to see others through His eyes. Just as Christ was moved by the burdens of those He encountered, He has prepared you to share in His work of healing, comforting, and uplifting those in need. However, such a gift can also feel overwhelming in a world filled with pain. This is why God does not give it to everyone. It is entrusted to those He has chosen, those who can carry it with humility and rely on His strength. If you have always been deeply attuned to the emotions of others, take heart. This gift of empathy is a clear sign of your calling. It is God's way of equipping you to serve others and fulfill the extraordinary purpose He has set before you. The spiritual burden of early trials. Have you ever wondered why your childhood seemed to carry more challenges than others? Perhaps you faced rejection, isolation, or struggles that felt overwhelming for someone so young. While these trials may have seemed unfair at the time, they were not meaningless. For those chosen by God, early hardships are tools of refinement, shaping and preparing you for a greater purpose. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. As a young boy, he was despised by his brothers, thrown into a pit, and sold into slavery. Later, he endured years of imprisonment for a crime he didn't commit. To an outsider, Joseph's life might have appeared riddled with misfortune. Yet every trial was part of God's divine plan to prepare him for leadership and to save a nation. Genesis 50:20 beautifully reflects Joseph's realization. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Similarly, your own struggles as a child were not accidental. Each moment of loneliness, each rejection, each burden you carried was a chisel in the hands of the Creator, shaping your character and faith. These experiences fostered resilience, humility, and a deeper dependence on God, qualities essential for the mission He has called you to fulfill. Rejection and isolation are particularly significant. Feeling misunderstood or excluded often sets God's chosen apart. It is in these moments that He draws you closer to Himself, teaching you to rely on His strength rather than the approval of others. As you reflect on your own journey, remember that every trial you endured was part of God's preparation. Like Joseph, you are being refined for something extraordinary. Trust that the burdens of the past were the building blocks for the purpose God has designed for your life. Dreams and intuitive whispers. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that it lingered with you for days, or felt an unshakable nudge to make a decision, even when it defied logic? For those chosen by God, such moments are not mere coincidences. They are divine whispers guiding you toward the purpose He has set for your life. From childhood, these dreams and intuitive feelings often serve as markers of a higher calling. The Bible offers countless examples of how God speaks to His chosen through dreams. Joseph's story in Genesis is a profound illustration. As a young man, he dreamt of his future leadership, visions that not only foretold his destiny, but also stirred resentment among his brothers. While those around him dismissed or even mocked his dreams, they were seeds of God's plan, eventually revealed in ways no one could have imagined. Similarly, Daniel's dreams offered clarity and direction, while Paul's visions guided him in spreading the gospel. Your own experiences may resonate with these biblical accounts. Perhaps you recall a recurring dream as a child, one that felt meaningful, but remained a mystery at the time. Or maybe you felt an unexplainable pull toward or away from certain situations, only to later realize it was the right choice. These moments are not accidents. They are evidence of God's active presence in your life, urging you to align with His will. Dreams and intuitive whispers are more than spiritual gifts. They are tools for preparation. They teach the chosen to trust in God's guidance, even when the path is unclear. When others may dismiss these moments as mere imagination, recognize them as divine communication, uniquely entrusted to you. They are a reminder that God is always speaking, preparing, and leading you toward the extraordinary mission He has for you. A sense of not belonging. Have you ever felt like you didn't quite fit in, as if there was something about you that set you apart from others? Perhaps as a child, you noticed a quiet inner longing for something more, a sense that your purpose extended beyond what you could see or understand. While this feeling of being different may have been isolating at times, it is one of the clearest signs of being chosen by God. From the earliest moments of your life, God has marked you as His own. This sense of not belonging isn't a mistake. It is His way of setting you apart for a divine calling. Jesus Himself spoke of this when He prayed for His followers in John 17:16, saying, "They are not of the world, even as I am not of it." Like Christ, those chosen by God often experience a disconnect from the world, not because they lack purpose, but because their purpose is far greater than what the world can offer. This distinction often manifests in unique traits. Perhaps you were the child who preferred solitude, drawn to reflection and introspection, or the one who asked questions that others couldn't answer. These characteristics, though they may have made you feel out of place, are not flaws. They are gifts from God, designed to prepare you for a mission that requires spiritual awareness and courage. Instead of viewing this sense of being different as a burden, embrace it as a sign of His calling. God uses the unique qualities and experiences of His chosen to fulfill His plans. Feeling set apart is not a rejection, it is an invitation. It is God's way of preparing you to walk a path that only you can walk, one that aligns perfectly with the extraordinary purpose He has placed on your life. Early moral conviction and love for worship. Did you ever feel, even as a child, a strong sense of what was right and wrong, as if your heart instinctively knew what pleased God? Perhaps small actions that others brushed aside felt weighty to you, stirring a deep desire to act with integrity. Alongside this moral awareness, you may have found yourself captivated by spiritual matters, whether it was the stories of the Bible, the melodies of hymns, or a quiet fascination with prayer and worship. These traits are not random. They are clear markers of being chosen by God. From a young age, the chosen are often drawn to righteousness. Psalm 25:4-5 reflects this longing, saying, "Show me your ways, Lord, teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior." God places a moral compass and love for worship in the hearts of His chosen to guide them toward His truth, even before they fully understand the depth of His calling. You might remember moments when you stood up for what was right, even when it came at a cost. Or perhaps you felt drawn to worship in a way that seemed unusual for someone so young. These experiences, though simple, were significant. They were God's way of preparing your heart for a life of service and devotion. They taught you to seek Him in all things and to live according to His will. These traits are not burdens. They are gifts that reflect God's work in shaping your character. They point to His hand on your life, guiding you to walk in alignment with His plan. If you have carried this innate sense of morality and a love for worship since childhood, know that it is a sign of His calling, leading you closer to the extraordinary purpose He has prepared for you. A longing for solitude and reflection. Have you ever felt a strong desire to retreat from the noise of the world, drawn to moments of quiet introspection? Perhaps as a child you found comfort in solitude, preferring stillness over the bustling energy of others. This longing for silence is not a quirk of personality, but a profound sign of being chosen by God. It is in these quiet moments that the chosen are prepared for the divine calling placed upon their lives. Throughout Scripture, we see how God uses solitude to shape and refine His chosen ones. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he was called to lead Israel out of Egypt. Jesus Himself often withdrew to solitary places to pray, as described in Luke 5:16. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. In these moments of stillness, both Moses and Jesus received strength, clarity, and communion with God, equipping them for the work ahead. For those chosen by God, solitude is more than just a preference. It is a space for spiritual growth and preparation. In the stillness, distractions fall away, and the voice of God becomes clearer. Perhaps as a child, you found peace in being alone, pondering life's deeper questions, or feeling a quiet pull towards something greater. These experiences were not accidents. They were moments of divine alignment, designed to draw you closer to God and His purpose for your life. Rather than viewing this longing for solitude as isolation, see it as God's invitation to dwell in His presence. It is in these quiet places that He prepares you for the challenges and responsibilities of your calling. Embrace the gift of reflection, for it is through this practice that the chosen are strengthened, renewed, and aligned with the extraordinary plans God has for them. Divine alignments and coincidences. Have you ever experienced a moment so perfectly timed that it felt too extraordinary to be mere coincidence? Perhaps it was meeting someone who changed your perspective, being at the right place during a crucial moment, or even a small decision that unexpectedly led to a life-altering outcome. These are not random events. They are divine alignments, carefully orchestrated by God to reveal His purpose for your life. For those chosen by God, these coincidences are part of His master plan. Proverbs 16:9 reminds us, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." The chosen may not always recognize God's hand in the moment, but as they reflect on their journey, they see how He worked through each event to guide and prepare them. From the people He brought into your life to the doors He closed or opened, every detail carries His signature. Think back to pivotal moments in your own life. Was there a time when a single encounter changed the course of your path? Or perhaps you avoided a situation by following a sudden intuition, only to later realize it was God's protection at work. These moments are not accidents. They are divine appointments, evidence of God's active presence in shaping your journey. Understanding these alignments requires spiritual reflection. As you look back, you'll begin to see the threads of God's plan weaving through your experiences, connecting what once seemed random into a purposeful design. These moments are His way of reassuring you that you are never alone, and that His hand has always been guiding you. Take heart in these divine alignments, for they are reminders that God is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. His purpose for you is unfolding in perfect time. Unshakable hope and a calling for greatness. Have you ever felt an unexplainable sense of hope deep within your heart, even in the face of trials and uncertainties? This quiet assurance, this persistent belief that your life carries meaning and purpose, is a hallmark of being chosen by God. It is His way of planting within you the seeds of a divine calling, a reminder that your existence is intricately woven into His greater plan. God does not choose arbitrarily. His calling is intentional and purposeful, as Jeremiah 29:11 proclaims, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This hope is not just for survival. It is a foundation for greatness. it propels his chosen forward, anchoring them in faith even when the path ahead is unclear. The chosen often carry this hope from an early age, even before they understand its source. It is the voice that tells you to keep going when everything seems stacked against you. It is the conviction that your trials are not in vain, but are shaping you for something extraordinary. Each struggle, each moment of uncertainty, and each trait that sets you apart is part of God's meticulous preparation for your mission. This hope is unshakable because it is rooted in God's faithfulness. Just as he turned Joseph's years of hardship into a destiny of leadership, he uses every experience in your life to align you with his divine purpose. When you embrace this hope, you begin to see the bigger picture, the calling for greatness that God has placed uniquely on your life. Trust in the hope God has planted in you. It is a beacon, guiding you toward the extraordinary purpose he has designed just for you. Embrace your divine purpose. As you reflect on the signs of being chosen, remember that none of them are accidental. Each trait, trial, and moment of divine alignment is God's way of preparing you for the extraordinary purpose he has designed for your life. You are not here by chance. You are part of his greater plan. Now is the time to step boldly into your calling, trusting in his guidance and unwavering love. Your journey is unique, and your story has the power to inspire others. If these messages resonate with you, take a moment to reflect on how God has been shaping you from the very beginning. Share your experiences in the comments below. Your testimony could be the encouragement someone else needs. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more messages of wisdom, faith, and purpose. Together, let's continue walking in the light of God's truth, embracing the calling he has placed on each of our lives.